You're watching News at Prime. Let's get into this discussion now. COSATU says it cannot, and I want to take you directly to that particular script, says it expected to grow its membership in an economic landscape with extremely high unemployment. Well, and the country's largest trade union federation celebrating its 40th anniversary just yesterday at the Dobsonville Stadium. Let's talk now to COSATU's First Deputy President, Mike Shingange. Good evening to you, sir. Thank you very much for your time. We are going to reflect briefly on this milestone, 40 years of existence, but we can't do that without reflecting on what grips the country right now. And this weekend has been a terrible one for the country. Friday night, you have the assassination of one of the witnesses who testified at the Madlanga Commission. And then Saturday, you have people gunned down in a shebeen, 12 of them dying at an instant, including 3 children. Where is our country? When you hear stories like this, what comes to mind about the state of South Africa right now?
Yes, good evening, Colin, to the viewers. And firstly, we want to join everybody. We've done so yesterday, but now that we're here, to send our condolences to the families of the Mr. van der Merwe, who was a witness known as Witness D. And also say that it's a sad state of our democracy, especially because himself, whether connected or not connected, but is known to the country as a person who stood up, spoke out against the malfeasance that he has witnessed, prepared to risk his life, which ultimately had to pay that price in order to try and save the country. And the country itself is incapable of saving him. You will know that it's not the first incident. You had other people here in Gauteng, people in Western Cape. Some years ago, we lost people in Limpopo for almost standing up against what they thought it was the eroding of the state institutions or corruptions, as it were. So that we are unable to protect them is a sad indictment of us as a society, but also as a democracy, which otherwise was supposed to provide a safe communities. So where is our country? We think if we never believed before that we're in trouble, I think the revelations and the lives of people that are dying, it shows that we're in trouble.
And corruption is at the center of this. Is that part of what you are admitting to here tonight?
No, it's not a part of what I'm admitting, it's a part of what it is. I don't know what you mean by me admitting, because it's not something that was ever been denied by anybody. If you speak to us as a federation, we do all we can. Like I'm saying, for instance, I'm giving you an example of people who have been killed in Northwest and in Limpopo. Those were our members. Those were members of municipal workers' unions. They spoke out, they marched, they were leading protests, they were pointing out, they were submitting dockets to the authorities that be. When some of them were gunned down, they did exactly what Van der Merwe did, to say to the police station, look, we think that we are on the hit list. And a few hours and few days after that, some of them died. So it's not like we have not been at the forefront to firstly highlight, but to do everything that can be possible in our capacity to expose, but also to try and fend back. And of course, to the 10 people that also died at the Soweto, again, it speaks to the safety of our communities. Of course, we take the point that the police can't be in every house every day. But perhaps to the fact that criminals, they think they can get away with murdering people and no serious consequences that will deter them from ever, or anybody else to ever committing that again. It's another matter that we do think that some laws need to be strengthened moving forward.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm going to come to COSATU and the 40th anniversary in a moment, but I think you understand the gravity of the situation. And I want to, in a way, connect COSATU to this, because you are a worker movement. When you listen to someone like Julius Mkhwanazi testify before the Madlanga inquiry, and at times you will hear him talk about the union, that when disputes arise, that's who they look to first to represent workers. That tells you that Ekurhuleni, at least the Metro Police Department, is part of this labor movement structure. And I'm wondering, with you sitting there, whether Mr. Mkhwanazi belongs to a COSATU union. And when you hear his admissions that he took monies from people who now sit as suspected criminals in jail, does that worry you as a federation, a labor federation, that we have elements within the labor movement that we need to also focus on and say, we need to rid ourselves of these elements?
Well, I will know if Mkhwanazi is a member or not. For all I know, in terms of the position he holds is managerial level. If anything, our members in their majority will be subjected to his discipline. But to an extent that he might, it is true that when dispute arises, unions have got a duty to represent members. Not because they're representing them, because they're condoning or they're defending wrongdoings. If at the end of the day, the malfeasance will be found on part of our members, these things have happened, they will be dealt with. Does it worry us? A lot? Whether people who are making such admissions are our members or not. It worries that, particularly if you are a public servant, or in this instance himself working for the municipalities, you then go and decapacitate the very same institutions that the majority of our people rely on for services. Weaken it and make people lose trust and confidence in it. It does worry us. It actually worries us even more that I was listening to your earlier interview, that he admits to have committed a particular crime that is not even labor-related. It's a crime. But he still working the streets. Commission or no commission, when allegations of dumping a body or taking money, why is a person on the streets? I don't think if it was me, I would be working here. I'm sure I would be either on bail or being arrested. So it does worry us that sometimes even the powers get abused. But yes, something like that, even not just there, even other institutions, including in health, if it's one of our members, you will have to face your own the process of the discipline at the workplace, perhaps criminal charges, but to an extent that you acted in the manner that does not represent us and bring us into dispute. We also have our own internal mechanism to deal with that part.
So let's talk about the 40th anniversary celebrations of the existence of COSATU. 1 December 1985.
85, yes.
That's when COSATU was born. Looking at the road traveled thus far, would you say that workers have something to celebrate?
Look, when you turn 40 yourself, you have to celebrate that you are 40 years old. It doesn't mean that your road was easy. It doesn't mean that as you sit at the time when you turn 40, all your aspirations are fulfilled. But you have to be grateful. You have to celebrate that you are turning 40, you are still alive. There will have been unions and organizations that have come before us or after us that will not sustain 4 decades. That's the first thing. But to an extent that we're an organization that was founded by those who came before us, they struggled under difficult conditions where there was repression. They were not allowed, in fact. One of the struggles was to ensure that unions are recognized in this country. One of the struggles was to ensure that later we have equal pay for equal work, or actual labor rights protection, as we speak. That achievement alone ought to be celebrated. We need to pay tribute to those who came before us and faced banishment, as you know, that the predecessor of COSATU, which is a South African Congress of Trade Unions, SACTU, was forced to go underground and to fold and go to exile because they involved themselves in the liberation struggle. That's why later, after you defeat, COSATU has to come in. So we can't not reflect on those, the highs and lows, and the current challenges, and forging the way forward.
Yeah.
Yes.
You speak about the highs and lows.
Yes.
I want to locate you now as a trade union federation with its links to the ANC that is part of this governance arrangement. Where do you see yourselves and what role do you play in this space? Because there's a view that says coalition governance is here to stay, and therefore there might be worry from your end that you may not necessarily have that much influence anymore in matters of policy that ought to change in order to favor worker rights. Are you at all concerned about the state of political play in South Africa?
Concerned, maybe yes. Worried, no. Look, we have struggled as a trade union movement before the ANC was in power. And there existed in place legislations that were against workers, that were discriminating workers according to color, according to race, according to gender, according to class, if you will. At some point in the earlier period, there were privileges and rights that were accrued to the white workers and none to the black workers. So we didn't struggle at the early days because conditions were favorable, because we had a friend in government. But we forced that unfriendly government to recognize unions, to recognize the May Day, which was not a holiday on the time, to ensure that there's a Labor Relations Act moving forward. To an extent, as a GNU, the coalitions, it's another terrain of struggle, which we're going to have to contend with. We will continue to push for the workers' right. One thing for sure, it doesn't matter which government comes in, including the coalition. What South Africans and certainly not workers must accept is the reversal of the gains, that progress that we made since 1994 through democracy. For as long as we're able to push back on any attempt to whittle down those ones, and then we can advance for the even new, better conditions of service. So yes, it's going to be tough, but nobody promised us a nice plate. The workers have never received anything on a silver plate, and workers will always, whether they have got a democratic government or not, or the government of their own or not, will always lose the rights they do not defend. And therefore, the way forward is to ensure that we prepare ourselves to defend our rights, irrespective of who is in the city or in the state.
I'm asking you that question about what role you see yourselves playing as a labor federation in this space, in this political space, changing political space perhaps is the right word to use, partly because at your celebrations yesterday, I saw with interest Solomon Paila, who leads the SACP. They are very clear that as determined as they are to stay in this tripartite alliance fold, which the ANC is part of, but they are going to contest elections on their own because, frankly, they fed up with the ANC and how they've been treated within that space. How long are you willing to endure this pain of sometimes being overlooked or undermined or ignored when it comes to the things that you as COSATU are fighting for? And we speak here with one of your biggest affiliates having since left COSATU, that's NUMSA, in protest over the very same issue of supporting the ANC.
Oh, okay. You're asking a different question. I don't know why it was interesting for you, for Solomon Paila, as a General Secretary of the party, to be in the COSATU event, something that has always been happening. We are in alliance with the SSCP and the ANC. All of us have agreed that we need to continue to fight very hard to keep the alliance intact. What role are we prepared to play, at least for now, is to ensure that the alliance is united. We are not a political party. I'm answering your second question. How long are we prepared to endure? Unfortunately, we can never, ourselves as a federation, enter the ballot. We are not created for that. We are not created to stand for election.
Indeed, but
yes.
You do support
the
party of the day financially.
No, we don't.
You don't?
What do you mean financial? We don't.
You don't back the ANC financially when it comes to elections?
We do back the ANC, but not financially. We've never given the ANC money for the elections.
You've never given the ANC money for elections? No,
we don't do that.
So it means...
The law doesn't allow either to do that. You can't give a political party your money. Don't do that.
So what NUMSA, as part of their reasoning for leaving the ANC, put forward, are you saying that that was incorrect, that the continued backing of the ANC through resources as well was incorrect? Are you saying that I'm remembering events differently?
Okay. First, I will want us to debate whether you are correct or that NUMSA left because they were begging the ANC resource-wise. That was not the issue. There were other issues which we are dealing with, and those are our affiliate, by the way. Those are our comrades. We're talking to them now.
Talking to them to do what? To come back?
No, we're talking to them as our comrades, as part of uniting the workers in this country. But look, we will campaign. Maybe let me just put you out of your misery. We would never give a political party money. But when we campaign, of course, we spend our money. Once we have workers have taken a decision that they are going to support a particular party, it means, and they are going to campaign for it, it means they are also giving the mandate that their resources, including human resources, will be used to campaign, but not to be channeled into a political party per se. Because workers will not stay away and abstain during the elections and not participate. They will not do that. They will always have a view, and they will always work for their view to emerge. Yes.
Mike Shingange,
yes.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Always interesting to have debates with you. Absolutely interesting indeed. I hope you join us some other time when we have much more to talk about, because the state of the country is really... it leaves much to be desired. But thank you.
We'll be happy to be a caller. Thanks for having us once again.
Thanks indeed. Thank you for engaging. Mike Shingange, the First Deputy President of COSATU. All right.